Maybe there are all kinds of matches here between the psyches of different individuals and the reptilians. That's a hard thing to get your arms around, but before I start saying there's lots of different kinds of reptilians, there may be lots of different kinds of fits going on here.
Okay,
what's the third one?
Got you real quick. If you take into account the fact that a superior race has many, many different levels of intelligence above us, with cloaking devices, travel, species, intergalactic, how do you really justify the encounter if they can create any event they want, the holographic or the quantum or the cellular division or interaction? How do you truly know what experience you had? And if you're able to quantify that, what criteria are you using? And I hope to talk to you later.
All right. Just want to make, again, a comment that I'm so much into this whole participatory co-creation of reality thing that I've actually, and I know a lot of other researchers in this field wouldn't agree with this, but I don't think that when a person reports to you something that suggests they've had an experience and you discover, I don't think that experience is fixed, just kind of like that little thing that was under the skin that Roger showed, that because I've seen with the experiences I've worked with over time, not only do the experiences evolve, but their relationship to a past experience that we've already covered will evolve. So, in other words, I don't think we can say the experience is this because it changes.
Right. In other words, the real mystery lies in trying to find out what the true experience really was, it would seem to me.
Or maybe there is no fixity of what it was. That's even scarier, to our point of view. Yeah.
I believe that woman that saw that crop circle didn't know where to put it. I believe she was like admitting she was brainwashed, practically. Anyway, where I wanted to go was where I'm glad to see you raised. I felt for many years that the way our discipline's been set up, especially in humanities and also in science, the way they've been pigeonholed and categorized have been intentionally to keep us in certain little realms. And that what you're doing is extremely important because the first thing we have to do to make real progress is to jump across those kind of boundaries. And unfortunately, the worst perpetrator of these little cubbyholes and boundaries is the institution you work in, because that's where that's the head biggest university in the country, funded by what, the Rockefellers and so on and so forth.
Well, let's not go there, but I agree.
Right.
I mean,
agree. But I meant the cubbyholes.
Because the Rockefellers have funded my work too, so that's.
They have.
Yeah. I mean, Lawrence Rockefeller has actually funded a lot of very progressive movements in this country. I'm not generalizing about the Rockefeller family. And people have their point of view about that.
Okay.
But again,
cubbyholing science and the humanities, isn't that like putting them at a dead end because there's a rivalry and a lack of communication?
Well, that's why I think a group like this could be so powerful, because we have the capacity to collaborate, to jump categories.
Right.
We're by the very fact that we're ventured into this kind of wild, weird area shows we're willing to jump categories. But we end up getting divided among ourselves. So that.
But didn't these categories get defined? Wasn't Harvard among the leadership in defining these categories way back when in the 1800s?
Nah, I think they've been around they've evolved. I don't want to blame Harvard for everything.
Okay, well, Yale and Princeton.
I mean, they dealt with me in some ways pretty fairly. I mean, I might have gotten much worse than I did, And I don't think they were trying to get rid of me, by the way. I think they just wanted to distance themselves. They distanced themselves from me, and so that they wouldn't have to be held accountable for what I was saying. Yeah, thanks.
Hi. I thought it was very interesting what you were saying about the scientists having this blockage with the Big Bang Theory, because it actually seems to represent their insistence that matter creates thought rather than the idea that thought creates matter. I wonder if somehow they can be encouraged to focus debate on that issue or that particular point, perhaps. Maybe it would encourage them to sort of expand their frame of reference and then maybe sort of understand how all this works.
We have there's a beautiful person on our board by the name of Trish Pfeiffer, and she's not a published person or academic or anything, but she's a brilliant person, and she's had a passion most of her life with the notion that consciousness is primary in the universe and that matter and energy come from consciousness. The consciousness is what preceded the Big Bang, say. And she's got a project she started, which I'm trying to help her with, to write to 30 or so leading thinkers who would be or interested in that question, and have them write what they have to say about consciousness being primary, and put all that together as a book. I mean, I think it's a very important area. It's counterintuitive, though. I mean, it took me a long time to get that. No, man, yeah, how consciousness? Consciousness is what we think with our brains, right? Without our brains, no consciousness. That's the way I was trained. You know, the idea that there's consciousness, the universe has intelligence and consciousness and creative power that isn't simply a projection of the human brain. It took a long time for me to get there. So, you know, I can't expect everyone to just get that, you know, like you got it. You know.
Okay, thanks so much.
Thank you.
On the reptilian image, one thing, couple of things I noticed in dealing with censorship of art and so on. For instance, the Sistine Chapel, Michelangelo deliberately had a snake biting the penis of one of the Medici, because the Medici had tried to censor the erotic aspects of his painting and didn't succeed, in effect, to say and also I noticed in the 19th and early 20th century, the Boston Watch and Ward Society, which was banned in Boston into our vocabulary, had as its symbol someone choking a snake. Could you comment on serpents, for instance, in those contexts, particularly Michelangelo's use of a serpent attacking a penis as a means of dealing with, of his expressing his opinions of one of his would-be censors?
Well, I can't speak for Michelangelo. I don't know.
But I mean, what do you think was going on in his unconscious mind?
But the thing, or I'm resonating with what you're saying, is I think particularly in the Judeo-Christian history, that dimension of ourselves, the snake, serpent, the instinctual part of ourselves, has to a great degree been suppressed, repressed, whether it's by whoever. And that one of the ideas that as you know, I'm working with here now is that this is erupting. You cannot repress something that real, that powerful, without it coming back to you in all kinds of different forms. And I think that this whole reptilian phenomenon is a return of it. But it doesn't mean it's just the psyche, and it's, again, not that it is also real in a material sense. Again, that breakdown between the material world and the mythic world, that separation we've made there. I have a concept which I call reified metaphor, which is that something that can be both metaphoric and physically real at the same time. But again, that's not the way I was raised to think. Yeah.
Yeah, this one is about dragons. I've had some very positive interdimensional experiences with dragons, in that what they've said is that they were part of the creation of the earth, and currently, well, they went to sleep for a while, meaning they became inactive, and in this time when the new earth is being created, they're waking up again. And what I've experienced with them is that we can work with them to recreate the earth's the grid lines, the ley lines, and so on. They can work with clearing these very quickly and amazingly if we meld our consciousness with them. And I'm curious to see what you have heard or experienced in this regard.
Well, again, I mean, I think it's useful that I don't know what your culture is, but I suspect it's not only Western, white, male-dominated culture, that you have more connection with the culture in which the serpent energy, the dragon energy, there's a more positive relationship to it, not just the male thing of, suppressing it. And, women, women have this is a secret, have a much more comfortable relationship with the actual serpents. I remember when I used to go with my kids to the serpentarium in Miami, and we'd go down, and the boys were all kind of scared of those snakes, and the girls just loved to wrap them around themselves, and they had, but it's cultural too, in part. It's not just biological. Ken Wells, who is a writer who grew up he's written a book about his experiences in the bayous, in Louisiana, which is just teeming with reptiles and crocodiles, and there's somebody called Crocodile Annie that everybody knew, and he would he loved snakes. He said he had talked about a big 7 or 8 foot serpent that he came to terms with. Everybody, a lot of people when he go north were scared about it, but because he lived with them, he had a more positive relationship, and he loved to bring the snakes into the classrooms, and the girls thought it was great. Again, the boys, they're not so comfortable with it. So I think that it's closer to the female, the Kundalini energy, the basic female nurturant energy, and that I think this harsh, male, aggressive that aspect of the dragon energy is a masculine matter. I mean, I'm just sort of beginning to play with this, so but thank you. Yeah.
Hi, I have a couple
You done?
questions.
We're done?
We have run out of time.
Oh.